Hey everyone, this is Chris and Sandy Bent with the Chris and Sandy Show. We get up close with some amazing guests throughout the entertainment industry. And today, like I say on every episode, we got a great one for you. Who do we have?
We have Timeca Seretti with us. She is an actress, singer, writer, producer, and director. She has appeared in Lincoln Road, the reboot of The Wonder Years, Tell Me Your Secrets, NCIS New Orleans, Claws, Outer Banks, Friday Night Lights, Game of Thrones, The Gift, and A Dog Walker's Christmas Hell, along with many more.
And we're excited to have her on the show. So welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You know, I always like to start the show out kind of the same way. Last 18, 20, 22 months have been rough for a lot of, I guess we're coming up on the year mark. So I'm going to have to start saying the last year, or last 2 years, have been rough for a lot of people, especially entertainment. So how has COVID affected you and what have you done to maneuver through this?
Well, I have actually added another slash. What I love to do is when I have downtime is study things. And I added comedian to my ... behind my name. So yeah, during the pandemic, I took an online comedy class.
Wow.
Yeah, had my first comedy show in November of 2020.
I didn't know they had comedy classes, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, Lace Larrabee. She's in Atlanta. Actually Marietta, and it's called the Laugh Lab. And it's for women comedians to kind of learn the craft and be lifted up because comedy is a mostly male predominant field. And so she is a fabulous comedian, and I took her class, and actually I just had a show last month. It was my third class book and my third show.
And the crazy part is when you look at the men and women comedians, if a man says something, it's funny, but if a woman says same thing, she's mean.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
When it's comedy, I mean, again, it's one of the things that where it's about laughter, and people in this day and time take things way too serious.
Oh yeah. And I can't believe the cancel culture that we're going through. Richard Pryor said, that we are supposed to be a reflection or a mirror.
He couldn't make it today.
He's always here in spirit.
But I'm like, Richard, what do you think of Richard Pryor and people like him in his day and Chris Rock and all of them? If they were all starting today, they'd never make it.
Yeah. Because you can't say half of the things that they used to say.
Right, exactly.
I should have added comedian a long time ago because honestly, when I was younger, I used to stay up late at night and have the TV on really low with my ears to it, listening to Richard Pryor while my mom was sleeping.
Yes.
Oh, good. Right. That's good because again, he's one of them that you don't want kids listening to.
But funny.
Funny.
Yeah.
A lot of people would ask, when did you know you wanted to be an actress? But I like to go deeper than that. When did it click? Being in entertainment could be a career for you.
Well, that didn't click until after I got out of the military. Right out of high school. I knew I wasn't college material at that time. Yeah. Because I kind of hated school.
Okay.
I know it's a bad thing to say, but so I went to the military.
I'm with you.
Yep.
I hated school.
But I had ROTC during my 4 years of high school.
Which was smart.
Yeah, it was a natural transition for me. But it was when I got out of the military and I had a skill that was kind of encapsulated in the military because I made book covers, awnings, I reupholstered furniture. And going back to Gary, Indiana, I really couldn't find a job doing that. So I was like, what am I going to do? So I signed up to go to college and I studied theater for a little while. And then just like I was working in Chicago doing extra work. I was doing theater on the other side. And I just was like, this is it. This is what I want to be.
I love that. Yeah, it's funny because when we look at our show and stuff, and we do multiple shows, not just the Chris and Sandy show, but I love to be a host and talk and all that. But if you'd have told me back when I was 18 that we would be doing this, or I would be doing this. I was one of the most shyest guys you'd ever meet back then.
Oh, wow.
And when and I remember when Sandy and I first met, because we met online.
Yes, in 02.
In 02, when it was taboo, of course.
Yeah, the early days of online dating.
And I remember when she flew down to see me from Kentucky to Georgia, that I'll never forget her walking down the airport, and you could tell that she had her head down and kind of walking, and you could tell how shy she was. I mean, I thought I was super shy when I was younger, but she had me beat, didn't you?
Oh yes. I did. Yeah.
Wow, look at you guys, you could never tell.
Thank you.
Yeah, and what's funny is when we first started the show, it was we started as an audio only, January 2020. And the first thing she said, I'll do the show with you, but don't ever ask me to do video.
I did say that, yes.
And then October of 2020, because we've done by that point a lot of shows, she was like, do you think video would help us? And we've been doing video ever since.
Yeah, it helps. This visual medium, people like to see who they're talking to.
Absolutely. Yes.
So, a lot of people, they see you, but they see the glory behind what you do. They don't see the grind, the sacrifice, the tears, the struggles it takes to not just make it to the top, but even a career within entertainment. And I always want to talk about that side of it, because I think a lot of people kind of sugarcoat this and gloss over it. So the public really don't realize what artists, what actors, actresses, anybody in creative has to really go through. And I always want to talk about that side of it because of that. So tell us a little bit about some of the sacrifices and struggles you've had to go through to even to get to where you are today.
And the biggest thing, and I will tell people all the time, is that yes, we go out there, we hustle, we get it. Because for myself, this has been a 20+ year.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a lot of ups and downs, because in the beginning, when I got out of the military, I was a single mom, and so I kind of had to try to navigate that. You have auditions. I was living in Gary, Indiana. I had to drive over to Chicago, which is 35 minutes away. I have to find a babysitter. I have to do all of these things. Then you got to have the money, because it is a business. You have to make headshots. Get your picture taken, resumes. You got to make copies. You got to be able to pass those out. But I navigated all of that to get here. And I will say the biggest thing now is just trying to get over. I did a show that was one of the biggest in my career, I think. And my skin got cut.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
It was devastating. But we have to know that, and I'm thinking, oh, well, I'm at the co-star, kind of on the tip of guest star level, that feel happening to me, but it happens to stars too. Like every scene does not get into the movie, even though they film it, and you think, okay, it's a sure shot. But you have to learn to navigate that. It's more of a mental thing. Being so solid that this is what you want to do, and I'm going to do it, whether I'm on the valley or I'm on the peak, so you just keep going. You ride those ebb, and my spiritual worker calls them ebb and flow moments.
Yeah.
I'm ebbing. She really works on me to be like, and that's to be well adjusted. That's why to give me something to do while I wasn't being chosen.
Yeah. And I remember we interviewed back years ago, one of our friends, a girl named Allison Steele from Nashville. And I met with her, and she was an artist, her and her daughter. And I remember asking her about some of this and some advice on that. And I'll never forget that she said, if you can do anything else and be happy and your heart's okay with it, go do that. And just keep this as a hobby, because she goes, the moment you feel like this has got to be your career, your whole life has to change.
It does. And you know what? There are some of us who are insane and can't do anything else. We talked about it, Chris. I've been a realtor.
Wow.
I was a medical assistant. I was a chiropractor's assistant. I've worked countless hosting and waitressing jobs, but I keep coming back to this. There is many a day where I was like, that's it, I quit. I can't take this reflection. I can't do it anymore. But then once the dust settles, I'm like, okay, let's regroup and get back to it. And thank God I did, because I honestly, right before I moved to Atlanta, which was 2008, 17, 18, I secured my agent there. And that's when I started, all the TV started taking off. Because before it was more of independent films and theater and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I didn't give up, because it was right at the moment that I was just like, man, I'm tired. I'm tired of doing this, you know.
And breakthroughs usually happen right before you're about to break.
Exactly.
That's why it's called a breakthrough.
Exactly.
Because so many people we've interviewed that, I mean, when you look at Steve Harvey, I love his story, and now, granted, we never interviewed him. We'll still hope one day to have him on.
Yeah, he's on our bucket list interview someday.
But I know when I get down about where our show is, I'll go and look up on YouTube his Apollo story. It's like 10 minutes long, and he tells us the story where he was he just gave up, and he was making a phone call to get some money to get him back. And he tells the whole story way better than I do, so you have to look it up. But again, he tells that story, and it's like, wow, he had that breakthrough when he was basically breaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, too, if I could give any other advice, is diversify. Like, another point that I had to contend with, because I moved to LA for like a year.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I never should have been there, though. At that point, that was 2006.
Okay.
On my resume, other than extra work and some theater. And I didn't know anybody in LA. I had no connections. I shouldn't have moved there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An opportunity to see other people out there in the struggle and what they were doing right and what they were doing wrong. Wow. And so when I moved back to Austin, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to make my Hollywood in Austin. And that is when I became a filmmaker.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I love that about the diversification, because again, that's like with us, we do this show, but because we're eventually moving to Nashville, and we got a lot of Nashville contacts, so we're not moving there with zero contacts. That's our show started because of all the Nashville contacts we had. Because it started as a country music interview show at first, but now we're an entertainment interview show. But we also have launched the Metro Buzz, which is dedicated to positive news for Middle Tennessee. And then we also in the process of launching Young at Heart Nashville, which is going to be more of a platform for the spotlight people who are over 40, professionals over 40 who are doing great stuff there in Middle Tennessee. Because you look at all the stuff out there, you got 40 under 40, 30 under 30, but you got nothing for the over 40 crowd. We were like, what about us, our generation? And so we decided, we'll fill that gap in. Like we're also doing a show called, a 40 over 40 to recognize your top 40 professionals in Nashville.
That's nice. I love it. Love it.
So nobody else is doing it. So we're like, you know what? We will.
Good job.
So I like that about, again, because that's something I've learned too, is, just because this show and we're doing it is not our bread and butter right now, we have to find a way to do our bread and butter. So we have like side jobs that we do and stuff, and then building this other stuff. So we're trying to build a whole brand around multiple things so that we can have not just one income, but maybe 10, 20 at one time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm over 40 something. And, you think I still love the idea of old Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
The glamour. And you think about it, the actors and actresses in that day, they had to be able to do everything. They had to sing and dance, be what you call a triple threat. And I honestly feel that in this day and age, that
you have to be that again.
You have to be that again, but because it makes you have all these things in your toolbox. When they come to Timeca, they know that I have a band here in Austin. I can sing.
Wow.
I used to dance for one of the semi-pro basketball teams, so I could still move a little bit.
Oh, awesome.
And now I'm a comedian. I'm adding all these things to the story.
Yeah, because social media has been a game changer, I think, for that. Because used to, like you said, you could probably just act and be fine, but now because everybody's competing for this job, it's not just people who going to LA. It's now the world is competing for the same jobs because of technology, because of all this and social media and all that. So you have to be the full package now.
Oh yeah, yeah,
to stand out.
exactly.
So we talked a little bit about the sacrifice and struggle side. Let's flip the script and go the other way. What are a few wow moments you've had? And we can even start with the Wonder Years, the reboot of that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh my God, yes, that was very wild because what happens is your agent submits you to the casting director. The casting director chooses who gets to come in if you fit that role or. And so I got the call, the audition, and I didn't think much about it. I dive into character. I kind of like it's 1968, it's Alabama, and I was like, okay. And this character, wow. Lydia, she's very I want to say Stepford wife-ish.
Okay.
And kind of quiet. Her husband is, he's a blowhard, he's a misogynist, and so she lets him lead the way. And I tried to portray that in my audition, and obviously I did because I turned on Tuesday, and by Thursday, my agent was calling me and was like, "You need to be here in Atlanta tomorrow."
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Got the call at like 4:30 p.m. By 10 a.m. Friday, I was in Atlanta because I had a COVID test and all of that. And so, the first 2 episodes, I didn't really get to say much. You see me one in the background and the other, I have a whole scene, but I don't say anything. And then we just got to episode 13. It was the Valentine's Day episode, and I had my moment. I had a really good scene. So it's been a really, really high because it's my first. It's a co-star, but it's a recurring co-star, which means they can call me at any time and just say, "Hey, we need Lydia back."
Gotta love that, right?
Yeah, yeah. So that's
because that's kind of the an actor's dream is to get that part where it's on a show that's continuous, because then you can breathe at least for a little while.
Yeah. I mean, because when I complain to my friends, my other actor friends, and I say, "Oh God, I haven't booked anything, like blah blah blah," they're like, "Oh, 100 years," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay, well yeah." Besides the Wonder Years, I haven't booked.
That's like sometimes I can find myself complaining about our show, and then I have other podcast friends who are like, "Well, you've had so and so on, so and so on. I've been doing this for 5 years. They had none of that on." And it puts me in perspective, like, well, something is happening here.
Yes,
so yeah, because sometimes if you're a creative, I don't care where you're at, you always want it to grow.
Always, and you want to just keep forward movement,
Keep
it's one of them double-edged swords. It's like you got this energy in you and you want it to grow and you want to do this, and then when it slows down a little bit, you're like, and it's like you can't, even though you look back and like, oh wow, look how far we've come.
Yeah. Well, I find that because you said something, when it's stagnant for me in the acting, I always have something else going on. Like I have a gig on Saturday with my band. And so this week we've been rehearsing. I haven't had any auditions, so I'm focusing on that. Like we added 4 new songs and I've got to learn those and get them down because I got to perform them on Saturday. So for me, I tell my friends, I'm like, am I crazy doing all this stuff? Like all of these different things, singer, songwriter, writer, producer, actor, because I have several irons in the fire right now, but it keeps me from sinking to that place where it's like, oh my God, there's nothing going on. What am I going to do? Like, my son told me the other day, he's like, Mom, you never stop moving.
And I love that because I've got a friend of mine from Charlotte, that she posted recently, because she said a lot of people don't get this part of her, and so she kind of did a small rant about this, and she was talking about how so many people will say, well, you need to only have one iron there because you got to be narrowly focused, and she's like, I can't. She goes, I can't survive if I'm doing one thing. She goes, I have to have multiple things going on at the same time for me to let out everything, or I will just crumble. And as I read what she said, I was like, man, that's so true, because I'm always having something. And I mean, we've been married almost 20 years now, and I've always wanted to do more and more stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, what's her name? That friend of yours?
It's Crystal Rose.
Crystal Rose, I feel you, honey. I feel you.
But yeah, she's a really cool friend from there. But yeah, she posts stuff like that, and I'm like, that's true, so true. So as you know, on the other front, a lot of people see you, but they don't see the team behind you. In our opinion, teams never get the love they deserve.
And they're so important.
On our show, the village gets some love. So tell us a little bit about the team that helps you be who you are.
Well, my Atlanta agent is the Alexander White Agency, and we have Alex, and then we have oh wow, I'm sorry, Deb interrupted me. It's hard for me. Yeah, I get you, Deb. I get you. Alexander White over at the Alexander White Agency. There's also Drew Manning, and then there's Taylor. She's my commercial agent.
Oh, wow.
And I also have representation here in Texas, which is Lily Bankston over at the Bankston Talent Agency. And she reps me. Well, Alex reps me in Atlanta, North and South Carolina, and Louisiana. And then Lily reps me in Texas and Mexico and Oklahoma. So, but then I have a PR team, the Mayhem Entertainment, public relations.
Yeah,
we love them.
Yeah. Yes, and they secured this interview. So that's the little team I have going on. But I want to add one extra person, which is my biggest fan, my husband, Julio Seretti. Baby, I love you, because he holds the home front down.
Tell us a husband story. You probably got 1,000 of them since you brought it up. Tell us a husband story where he went above and beyond for your career. And you're like, wow, he really gets that I was made for this.
Okay, so I just told y'all I have a place in Canton, Georgia. It's a friend of mine from here. He's a playwright. He moved to Atlanta, and he's been there. So whenever I have an audition or I've got a shoot, I would go and I would stay with him. Well, we were getting kind of cramped in his 1-bedroom apartment. You know, he's a stinky old man. And I'm like, I need my own bathroom. I need.
Yes, get it.
We got a place that I can have my own room and my own bathroom when I'm there. And I have to shoot or I have to be in Atlanta. But my husband went above and beyond, because car rental now is getting out of hand, because during the shutdown, they sold all their fleet, and now people don't have cars. So he bought a car to drive to Atlanta and have while I'm there. So I just have, even though I'm in Texas right now, I have an apartment and a car there, so I can move and get around and do what I need to do. And he just believes in me so much, and he's very supportive. So
love that.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, speaking of teams, we have a third co-host, our 10-year-old, that we let come on ask a couple questions. So Sandy's going to go get him real quick.
I'll get him.
And we've got a 3-year-old that when she gets older, she'll be plugged in the show too, because we are a family affair show.
Oh, nice. All right. Look, and this 10-year-old, I bet you he's very astute.
He loves to be on the show. We homeschool him and stuff, and so he's been able to be on pretty much every episode. And I think, and it's been great for him, because you know he watches a lot of Nickelodeon and Disney shows now, and so we've been able to bring a lot of people from his shows onto our show too.
Oh, I bet you that is so exciting for him.
And you know, we've had Mallory, who plays Destiny on the show Bunked. That was one of his coolest ones.
Whoa. Hi.
Hi, Timeca. So what's your favorite food?
What's that?
What's your favorite food?
Favorite food?
favorite food is going to be lasagna.
Ooh.
It's so cheesy and delicious, and I love it.
Because what's yours?
Mine is pizza.
Well, if you think about it this way, lasagna is just a pizza, but it's not on the crust.
Right?
Yeah.
Somebody that the other day, they were like, mind blown. It's cheese.
But it's true.
Sauce.
Okay, so what's your favorite TV show movie?
Okay, so my favorite movie ever is The Color Purple.
Ah, it's a good one.
Yes, it's a really good one, and it's an old classic. My favorite TV show right now is Euphoria.
Ooh.
I've been really watching that one.
Because what's yours?
My favorite TV show is SpongeBob, and my favorite movie is The Minions.
Oh, I love them. It sounds like Spanish that they're saying.
Well, what's funny is we had somebody on recently. I can't remember who it was, but they said that when the Minions first started, because he was behind the scenes on this, and he said that they were actually not supposed to talk. And then somebody made a funny sound or something, and the director was like, "That's it. That's their voice." And that. So I don't know. I guess he was like pretending to be one, and so whatever it was that he said, it caused the Minions to now talk.
But see, that's what we're talking about: creative and just jumping in there. That can-do spirit.
Yep, exactly.
Bye, thanks.
Have a good one.
Yeah, he loves to be on the show. He's like I said, he's been on almost every one.
Oh, nice.
Training him for something. We'll see down the road.
I bet you he'll be a good host.
Exactly.
That's the plan.
That's the plan. So if you could co-star with any actor or actress, who would it be and what role would you want to play?
Well, first and foremost, I want to play a villain.
Ooh,
I'm usually the very stern, but it's a stern character with a good heart, and she's underneath, she's trying to help. But one day I just want to play an all-out villain. And I have my top 5. Okay. So Viola Davis.
Oh, yeah. That'd be great.
I would love to just be near her in her stratosphere and see some of what she does. Angela Bassett is one of my favorites. Kerry Washington.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And then, of course, the Miss Meryl Streep.
Oh, yes. Well, the best actresses of all time.
Yes. So those are my top ones that I want to be near and have me be dear to them and them show me the ropes. I would love it.
Yeah.
That would be really awesome. So what's a movie or show that you've seen that you wish you had a role in?
The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's another one of my favorite shows. And I watch, it took me a while to start watching it. And I would hear people saying the little quotes, may the Lord open and all this stuff. And I was like, what is this? And I started watching it and I was glued to the TV. Wow. So if I could get a role on there, I would help. I can't remember her name right. The main character. I would help her out of there, out of Gilead.
Yeah.
So, what's been your hardest role to play?
I would say my role on The Wonder Years because she's so demure and she's so quiet and she lets her husband wear the pants. And
that's hard for you to just sit still.
That's totally opposite of me because I'm and so just like so, and it's even Deb. No, my band does not have any music on YouTube, but we are on Facebook and we post a lot on there. It's Blue Vibe ATX. Let me make sure. Blue Vibe ATX, Austin.
Okay.
Yeah. So but it's hard for me to just sit and be demure and be like, okay.
Yes, and not speak up.
What's your husband think of that? When he again, he sees that this is the opposite of you. What's he think about that?
Oh, well, for him though, everything I do is wonderful and he loves it. And so of course he's like, "Oh, babe, you did so good. You did so good." And there's moments that I'm looking and I'm a technician. So and I'm a perfectionist. So every little moment in there's and I'm not going to tell anybody what they are, but there's two in my scene that I was like, "Ugh." Then I was like, "Ugh." So, it's a little hard for me, but that character, because they're still building the world and we're still finding out who she is.
Yeah.
I have to do the work to find out who she is and to make her be that way.
Now, being that you feel that's been your hardest role to play, what have you learned about yourself through that role?
I think I've just learned that I can do that and be that. But I would have to say it's in a technical aspect. Like I said, it's like, finding out. I don't, I feel it, but I can't verbalize it. Like,
Yeah.
finding out that I do have those quiet places, those quiet moments that I can rest in. And that is where I think you find Lydia.
Okay.
I like that. So what's been your most fun role?
I did a feature this past year. Last year, when 2020 shut down, I did nothing. And then 2021 came in with a bang because I booked the Women of the Movement. I booked the Wonder Years, and I did 5 feature films. And actually, there were 2 in particular. One was Joe and the Reaper, and I got to play just this woman who was like, she's in love, and her boyfriend just can't do right, and she's always falling on hard times. So, trying to just dig herself out of a hole. And then the other feature was Dark Red, and I got to play this detective, no nonsense detective.
Oh wow!
But, she lives in a small town, but she's fighting these racist murders are happening, and so those 2 roles put me in like 2 different opposite, stratospheres.
Yeah.
Those were my favorite.
Oh wow! Awesome. So, where do you want to be in 5 years?
5 years, I want to be on the Oscar carpet with my little man. So I've had my speech written since I was a young girl, and get up and say it. That's where I would love to be.
So let's look even further down the road, say 15 years down the road, and let's say you're a success on a grand scale. Whatever that looks like for you, you're there. What do you hope you never forget?
I hope I never forget where I came from. Like, growing up in Gary, Indiana, I was raised in the projects. My mom was a postal worker. She worked really hard for me, my brother, and my sister, single mom. And I just, I never forget where I come from, but I want to give back so much because I've been homeless. I've lived in a trailer park. I lived in the projects. So, that's why a lot of the things that I do these bags for the homeless. They're called essentials.
Oh, wow.
Homeless. Toothbrush, toothpaste, soap, deodorant, shampoo, all of those good things. I want to still be doing that work and going into those places and helping people who need help because it helped me when I needed it.
Wow.
That's amazing. Now, what are some sources of inspiration for you?
Right now, it's my granddaughter. She's terrible too. It's real, people. It's real.
We understand. We had one just turned 3 a couple of days ago.
And we're hoping for terrific 3s.
We're hoping, yes. We just came out the terrible news.
I'm going to start manifesting that terrific because now she's just all over the place. But it's just watching her with this carefree, persona. She doesn't care about anything. She's just doing her. And she's learning to have autonomy over herself, because if there's something she doesn't want to do, she's like, No. And, but baby, you have to do this. Like, you have to get in, you have to take a nap. She'll lay down and she's like, I'm like, yes,
that's one thing that somehow we have trained her that she'll
we
go
have
down.
been lucky there. Yeah.
Because we do, when we do in the show, she's down for a nap.
Yeah.
And so
that's
far,
how I get to be on the show. Yeah.
for the last over a year, she's
Yeah,
done
since
this. I don't know
18
how
months
we've,
old.
I don't know how we've trained it. The other things that she won't do, but for some reason she loves the
routine.
nap. So
Yep,
we're like,
that's
okay,
part
this
of
is
her
good.
routine.
Well, see,
Yeah.
she'll get in the bed and she'll pull the covers up, but then she'll
Yeah.
look at you like, I'm not going to sleep. And it's
I'm here, but
Now
yeah.
today, I'll be honest, I had to get onto her a little bit because she
We're
stood
like,
up
"It's nap
making
time."
noises, and I had to go back in there. So up, and she went down, and
She did go to
but
sleep,
she did
huh?
buck a little bit today.
Yeah. Expressing her independence there.
oh yeah. So it's watching her. She gives me inspiration, just the wonderment and
Yeah.
seeing her figure the world out.
Yeah.
Awesome. And what would you like for your legacy to be in the entertainment industry? What would you like to be known and remembered for?
That I came, I saw, I kicked ass. Oop, can I say a first word?
Go ahead.
It's okay.
You said it.
Yeah.
Also that I was a source of information and inspiration to help other people, you know.
Love it. Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Love that.
If you could say anything to your fans and followers, what would you want to tell them?
I thank you guys all for your support. I thank you all for your love, and I love you guys.
Love that. So as we start to close out here, what advice would you give somebody who wants to do what you do?
It's the advice I just gave to my young cousin. She, oh, thank you, Susan. My cousin, she just graduated high school and she turned 18, and she auditioned for her first runway model show, and
Oh,
she
wow.
booked it. But I could see in her, because I did used to model, I was like, girl, you got to study. You got to study the craft. Have you been looking at other models, how they walk down the runway, how they hold their hands, how their facial
Wow.
expression? Anything you want to do, just like I said, I was like, okay, well, let me study comedy. I didn't just get up there and say, I'm funny, I could tell jokes.
Yeah.
There's a process.
There's a process. And in acting, there's a process. In singing and songwriting, there's a process. In filmmaking, there's a process. Anything you want to do can be achieved, but you must study your craft.
Mm.
Love
Yes.
that. And so tell everybody how they can find you.
I am on social media, Timeca M. Seretti at Facebook. And I have two pages. One is my fan page, and then the other one is my regular page. And then I am Timeca at Instagram, and Blacktress on the TikTok.
Yeah.
My friend says.
Love that. You know, we really enjoyed having you on the show today. And we
Yes,
look
we did.
forward to having you back down the road.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I really enjoyed it.
We did too.
Oh, we did too. Thanks for your
You have a
time
great day.
today.
You're welcome.